The world was at crossroads, where just one wrong decision could throw the entire Middle East into flames. For 39 days, the sounds of missiles, drones flying in the sky, and escalating tension filled in the air. This was no movie scene, but a recent, real global crisis. The focal point of this entire conflict became the Strait of Hormuz, a maritime route through which nearly 20% of the world's oil passes. This meant that if this route were to be blocked, the entire global economy would be severely impacted. This is why this war did not only concern the United States and Iran, but also the entire world. The story begins on February 28, when Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu jointly initiated military action against Iran. Initially, it seemed like a limited attack, but gradually it turned into a larger war. Iran responded with missile and drone strikes, shaking the entire region. Oil plants, airports, critical infrastructure in the Gulf countries such as the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar came under attack. Before long, this conflict was no longer just between two countries, but a regional crisis that began to affect the entire world. However, the turning point in this story came when Iran used its most significant strength, the control of the Strait of Hormuz. This was the very place through which a major portion of the world's energy supply passes. Iran made this route a part of its strategy and sent a clear message. Only those countries that are with us or neutral will be allowed to pass through here. Some countries were granted exemption while the others were blocked. This strategy came to be known diplomatically as the Ayatollah Booth. It wasn't just a military strategy, it was an economic weapon that shook the entire world. As the days passed, tensions reached a climax. The death tolls reached thousands, and every day the situation worsened. Amid this, Donald Trump issued a stern warning. If the Hormuz Strait was not immediately opened, the US would destroy Iran's energy infrastructure, even wiping out its civilization. This statement was a clear signal to the world that things have reached a very critical stage. A deadline was set for 8 p.m. on April 7, and the whole world's eyes were fixed on that moment. But the story took an unexpected turn. Just when the deadline was about to end, an hour and a half before the deadline, Donald Trump announced that the US would halt its attack for 2 weeks. This was a major decision because just a few hours before, the war seemed on the brink of escalating further. 40 minutes later, Syed Abbas Araghchi also agreed to a ceasefire. For the first time in the 39-day brutal conflict, the world breathed a sigh of relief. This was a moment when, amidst the war, a glimmer of hope emerged. An interesting aspect of the entire event also emerged. Shehbaz Sharif made a peace appeal to both countries, which gave a new twist to the diplomatic process. Although it is hard to say how much impact this appeal had, it was clear that the war was now being fought not only with weapons, but also at the negotiation table. This was the point where the real diplomatic game began. But with the ceasefire came a new challenge. Iran claimed it had forced the US to back down and presented its conditions. In this 10-point plan, several major demands were included, such as the removal of all economic sanctions, accepting uranium enrichment, maintaining control over the Strait of Hormuz, and removing US forces from the region. These conditions were much stricter than any ordinary agreement. Donald Trump called them a workable basis. But the real question was whether an agreement could be reached on these terms. The impact of this entire conflict was also felt deeply in India. India depends on Gulf countries for nearly 60% of its energy needs. So when the supply of oil and gas was disrupted, it directly affected India's economy. During this period, only a few ships managed to reach India, and many Indian citizens lost their lives. The safety of the millions of Indians working in Gulf countries also became a growing concern. Although the ceasefire brought significant relief to India, the situation was not still fully normalized. Now the biggest question remains, will this 2-week ceasefire lead to a lasting peace, or is it just a temporary pause? Because Iran has already made it clear that if the talks fail, war could resume. This means that the coming days will be crucial for the entire world. This is not just a conflict between two countries, but the biggest test of global politics, economics, and diplomacy. So, is the world heading towards another major war, or will diplomacy win this time? This is the biggest question of the story, and the answer will only be revealed in the coming time. So viewers, let's pause the discussion here and note today's question. Is the recent US-Iran ceasefire a success of diplomacy or a strategic compulsion? Evaluate in the context of Donald Trump's policy.
For more informative content, Like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.